guys, how you doing? This is going to be a bit of a short video on as far as plastering is concerned. I just got one up tonight. I might get this up maybe even later tonight, I don't know. But yeah, this is all about a really bad, awful batch of multi-finish that I've had to deal with, and it came from one place close to where I live. It came from a Wicks. And we were using multi-finish by British Gypsum. It all came out the same weeks because I just, for some reason or other, just happened to be working in this area, and all week I've had the guys I've been working for buy and supply the material because I've been working for somebody else just to give them a hand, another plastering firm. So all I've been doing is just been getting the address, been meeting the guy in the morning, here's the material, here's the job, do the job. Okay, alright, no problem. So I've got no idea where the material is coming from or what the job is other than a basic description. Turning up, seeing the job on the day, this needs doing, that needs doing, this needs doing, that needs doing, blah blah blah. Okay, so that's what I've been up to this week, and unfortunately there has been a real big issue, especially on this job, and I'll go into one a little bit more at the end of the video. But just have a look at the footage I caught today of the way that this multi-finish was behaving, and hopefully, and I believe it is because I've put some feelers out there on social media and got some feedback, hopefully this is a one-off instance, because if they carry on producing multi-finish in this condition, I might retire from being a plasterer. I don't think I could do it, man. Anyway, have a look at the footage we've got, and then I'll have another little chat with you at the end of the video. Okay, we are back in the room and we are going to knock up 2 bags, and I'm going to take out this wall and this wall initially. Let's get on with it. So 2 bags have got this wall on, this wall, and I did have enough just to get these reveals done as well. And I've just lashed them on. It's the same old claggy old gear, but a little bit left in the bucket, but don't worry, I'm kind of using that to flatten in with as well. So I'm just going to get around to all of this, use up the rest of the bucket, kind of giving it a second coat, because it's just claggy old. It's really clay-like. Right, let's get carrying on. Okay, right, so I've been around with that 20x5 carbon steel trowel and we flattened this in. Now, look at this light where I can show it up. Look at this up here. Look at the sag in that bead, where the plaster is just not able to hold itself. And even up here, I can see it with my eye. Can you see it? See where these bubbles are in there? You can actually see the variation in depth of the scrim. Let me see if I can get up on this hop up. Can you see that? Can you see the scrim? You see the exact point where the scrim is. That's sagging over the depth of the scrim. What is going on? It's very claggy, it's hard to move around, but yet it's really slimy at the same time. Look, where the light's coming through. I've flattened this in. Watch. What am I supposed to do about that? In my experience, all you can do is just leave that alone to pick up, so it holds itself together, but it's horrible. It is absolutely horrible. I'm just coming back to this where the scrim is. Look, you see it. I'm just trying to use the light to show it up. And the light is reflecting on it. Hopefully that will come through on the video. Okay, so I have laid the second coat on everything and I put it on as neat as I could, and I've turned straight back round and I've had to take a wet brush to it. Up here was tearing, so it's had its first wet brush, okay? The sludge that's coming out is, I've just washed it off, it's slimy, there's hardly any granules in it at all. Now this here, it was where, see look, this is the first coat where it was tight, right? Where I've had to try and straighten it up. So not only did this first coat hang around and be slimy and not be able to hold itself, so you've got to let it go a little bit further so it holds itself together before you can get the second coat on it. Now, it actually wants to set on me. What is going on? Look at this. I'm having to push this slimy fat back into the wall. It's the second visit. Watch. Admittedly, I'm not putting water on it, but look at that tearing up. I'll switch to a flexi much sooner than I normally will do, and I've got one hand. Let me just show you that there. Get some water on there, and then let's run the trowel over it. Okay, it's not too bad down there. I really have to push that fat back into this wall. Like I say, you've got areas where the undercoat is actually trying to set, and this is the state of the top coat that was still left on my hawk, a little bit left over. So this is starting to brown up quite badly. I say badly, and I say it badly because I've just been across there, just in that last little section, I'm still getting this sludge out of it, even though we're at a stage when this is browning up. You know, I feel like it still needs another go. This should be polished, you know, when the wall starts browning up like this and you're still going over it, you should be polishing it up. That should be what's happening, because it's you know, it's setting. It's still, look, I can tear it here. I mean, that's obviously where the first coat is bleeding through, but what is going on? Okay, now on this here, okay, I have not spent any time leaving this to pick up or anything. So I've got the first coat on, turned back round on it, used a bit of the gear left over to try and get it back under control. So I fed more, got it on, then I fed more of the same gauge into it, okay, to flatten in. Then I cleaned the bucket right out. Then I mixed up again to put the second coat on immediately, no time in between, which I did. Put the second coat on, turned back round, flattened it in with a small bit of water and the 20x5 carbon steel trowel. Got it as flat as I could. Then I've pretty much turned straight back round on it with the flexi, okay, and done the same thing. Now I've left it a little bit of period and I've come back and troweled it again. Now, look, I can stick my finger in there and make a dent, right? And then here, it's sitting and browning off. How is that possible? You know, how can this be happening? I haven't wasted any time. This has got to be the first coat coming through, and where it's so thin, it's affected. But it's starting to go all over. Where it's thin up there. Yeah, look, in the line. Look how slimy it is. And yet, I'm having trouble keeping up with it, but it's slimy at the same time. So, here we are at the end of the video. This morning, this was done the other day. This morning I put a little post up on Facebook and on my group that I have on Facebook, which is a really nice group as well, called Plaster Master Smurf 74, and on some other plastering forums. And I just put I did a little reel up saying, has anybody had trouble with this multi-finish? And it has come back to me that some people have had trouble with this multi-finish in exactly the same way as what I've just demonstrated on this video. Now, I got this stuff from the same place, and because I phoned the guy up who I did the job for. I said, "Where did you get the material from? Was it this particular branch of Wicks?" And he said, "Yes, it was." And I was going over new plasterboard, and this was on the Friday. And I thought it was just me. I thought I was having a bad day. But when there was a little bit of suction there, it wasn't quite as extreme. On these particular walls where they were painted and really had no suction at all, this plaster was allowed to sweat on there. And I think that really exacerbated, is that the right word? It made things a lot worse. So the sludge that was coming out of it, and the way it was sagging, it was horrible. And I've had a few people come back to me and say, yes, they've experienced this as well. There's been a few theories as to why. One of them, a few people, and I don't think it's quite right on this particular occasion with this particular plaster, was saying they change the multi slightly because of the seasons. So when it's cooler, they speed it up with some accelerator. I'm not sure if that's particularly true, because you're plastering inside, and even if you're in the middle of winter, if you're plastering somebody's house, quite often you've got the central heating on, haven't you? Unless you're on site, of course, and then it becomes a bit of an issue, doesn't it? But I can't say I ever really notice anything like that. The only time I notice it is that first warm day of the summer, when you're used to being able to put on so much more, and that first warm day catches you out, and you're like, oh, I've put on too much.
What do you think of the Snazzy Ned?
Yeah, it's alright.
Yeah.
I'm just recording at the moment, baby.
Oh, sorry.
The Snazzy Ned is the wine we're drinking tonight.
Sorry to intrude.
Right, now where was I on my train of thought? The plaster was absolutely terrible, and I'm not sure if I ever do notice the way that they change it because of the seasons. Now, like I say, we can only ever really, where I am now in Berkshire, which is the southeast of England, I struggle to get board finish or anything other than multi-finish. And the multi-finishes, there's two varieties, two brands, two blends of it, if you like. And when you look at the side of the bag where the date is, where it's printed, it'll either say B2 or it will say B3. I don't know why they use that. Sometimes there's no code on there at all. And there's a slight difference in that plaster, and one's more like board finish and one's more like, I don't know, multi-finish. I've never really had an issue, but on this particular job it was bad. So some people are saying that it's a seasonal thing, it's accelerator. Some people are saying another company, St. Gobain, whatever their name is, have taken over British Gypsum and have changed the blend. I don't think it's that. Some people saying it was contaminated, and they've come back to me and said, actually, at the Travis, blah, 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 where we get it from, we've had a bad batch, and they're trying to refund loads of complaints. Somebody said to me they are looking at recycling old gypsum, and they're trialing it, right? Which to me, I don't know which one's right. I don't know. All I know is this plaster was absolutely awful to use, right? And I'll tell you how awful it is in a minute. They might be recycling old plaster because, sometimes you have to have a separate skip for plasterboard, because there's something about gypsum. If it goes into landfills, apparently it can create a really, really nasty gas. Correct me if I'm wrong. I haven't got all the details. I'm just skimming over the surface with this one, and this is why sometimes you have to separate the old plasterboard so it gets recycled, and that would kind of make sense to me. Are they making it cheaper? Did somebody fall asleep at the factory and fall asleep and accidentally knock the lever and put too much of this in? And they go, well, what are you going to do? I don't know, it's been running for half an hour, you've been asleep for half an hour. They go, oh, well, there's a bit too much of this stuff in there, and just sell it and don't say nothing to anybody. Did that happen? Or have they changed it? But in this case, it was absolutely awful. Now, me as plasterer at the age of 51, and I used that large trowel, that 20 by 5 carbon steel trowel. In my experience, what I tend to do is get all the problems out the way early on in the plaster's life when it's easy to do so. So I'm getting rid of all the ripples, I'm doing this, I'm doing that, I'm flattening in, I'm putting on so neat, right? And taking my time over it. I'm not smashing meters, I'm not throwing it on all willy-nilly and getting back over it and blah blah blah. I'm not running around like a headless chicken anymore. I am like Obi-Wan Kenobi. We're taking my time putting it on, and the time it takes you to put it on really neat, you kind of get that time back when it comes to trowel up time and the quality of it as well. So because I put on so neat, because I've addressed all these problems so early on in the stage of the plaster, when it comes up to trowel up time, I don't even really need to look at it because I know everything's all under control and all I'm doing is just closing the surface in. Now with this stuff, where it was so saggy and horrible and slimy, I couldn't get it under control and get it flat because it was hanging under its own weight, which meant I couldn't get any flatness to it until later on in the setting process. And that was me, after the second coat was on, flattened it in, right, and then I had to take my wet brush to it, and God, did I have to open up that trowel and push that fat back in there, and I had to do it over and over again. And then it was kind of like flash setting on me, so the undercoat was going off rock hard, but yeah, as I just showed you, it was like slimy as anything in another part of the wall. I have never ever in all my years experienced that before. It was horrendous. And that room turned out to be around about 80 metres. So there was 240 metres. I got the ceiling on one day and I did all the walls the next day. So that would have been, let's say that ceiling was about 30 metres because the room was 7 metres by 4 metres. So let's say, for argument's sake, I'm not doing the maths, that ceiling was about 30 metres. So the next day I had to do 50 metres. That almost killed me, making me get it under control that late on down the setting process. It didn't seem to lose any strength in the sense that, you know, you've overstepped the mark with knocking back, or you've done something which has compromised the plaster's strength, because when you start to trowel up it flakes up. It didn't do any of that. I was just getting an excessive amount of slimy gunk coming out that plaster right up to the end, and it was slimy, there was no grain in it. I was explaining it was kind of like where a setting is concerned. I mean, when I was a youngster, I always understood that if you wanted to be a full-blown plasterer, you had to learn how to screed floors as well. So screeding floors, you need a sharp sand, right? And the sharp sand's got shards in it and small granules, and by moving the sharp sand around, the granules like lock together, the shards lock together, and that's what gives it its strength. It's kind of like a brick wall, you know, the shards overlap each other, and that's what gives it its strength. Using this multi-finish was like trying to screed a floor but only using soft sand, builder sand, bricky sand, with it's just cubular granules in it, no shards, and it was all jelly-like and just hanging and sludgy. Right, okay, that's what happened. Please put on the comments if you've experienced plaster like this, which is tearing, going off, slimy. It was just, everything was wrong about it. It was just nasty, nasty hard work. I started another job today. I've recorded it on video. I believe the first coat I put on was this batch of plaster, which is I've had to deal with all week and a little bit of last week. But the laying down coat I used again, it turned out to be B3, because I've been looking at the bags where it was a different date, a different expiry date, and when I put the second coat on, it actually went back and it was the multi-finish that I am used to. And not everybody does like multi-finish, but like I say, in this area that's all I can get hold of. Really, really struggle to get board finish. My local Wickes here in Bracknell did stock it for a period of time, and I was buying it because it was a few pence cheaper, and I quite enjoyed using it. I did not, you know, the set time of the board finish is a little bit quicker. Multi-finish has a few more fats in it, So what I tend to do, if you're using multi-finish a little bit more, I tend to knock that first coat up really quite thick, turn back round, give it a little bit of time, flatten it in, and then quite often, because I'm quite accurate in guessing how much I need, there might be like a hawkful left, or it might be just a case of washing the bucket round. But when I put the second coat, when I knock up for the second coat, I'm normally washing and knocking up into the dirty water of the previous gauge to speed things up a little bit. So yeah, I can deal with multi-finish, it's not a problem, I can get it up to a good quality. But this particular multi-finish this week was absolutely the most horrendous material I've ever experienced in all my years of plastering. And I've been, not plastering, but the first time I went on a building site I was 13 years old. I've had a couple of other jobs. I used to be a graphic designer. I used to work at B&W for a period of time, worked for 6 years during the recession and stuff. But otherwise, I've always, from the age of 13, at some point, I got back on the trowel after being a graphic designer. I got back on the trowel at the age of about 22, and I've like served my labouring time, and I was out there as a professional plasterer, okay, holding my own. So that's how long I've been plastering, and I'm 51 now, and I'm still doing it. And I've never experienced plaster like this. It was horrible. And I hope to high heaven that this is a one-off experience, and Homer Simpson, who's in charge of the mixing levers in the British Gypsum factory, fell asleep because he'd been drinking too much Duff beer and leant on the lever, and too much of this went in the mix, and that's what we're dealing with it, and that's what's caused that problem. So, yeah, baby, that's right, come back through. So yeah, let's wrap this one up, and I'm going to carry on with the job I've got tomorrow. I've noticed the dates have changed on bags of plaster, so let's hope that the formula has changed and I'm back to dealing with what I'm used to dealing with. Please let me know what your thoughts are on this, if you've experienced this stuff or if you haven't. Yeah, I'll see you on the next video, which will not be too long away at all. Alright, take it easy. Hi guys, so yeah, my wife doesn't think she's in the video, but she didn't realise I had it on wide angle, and we are redecorating the downstairs at the moment. That's why she's in her Freddy Krueger top and her pyjama bottoms and didn't want to be caught on camera. But we did catch her on camera, and we're going to leave it in, but you know, mum's the word, we won't say anything. So yeah, that was my wife. Anyway, yeah guys, thanks for watching, and see you on the next video. Right, take it easy. Bye bye.